Hey, what's up, YouTube? Terry coming at you with an awesome deck list from Oceana Nats. This is the winner. You guys know I'm a big Merlin player, big Merlin fan, and Fire Merlin is back. People said it was gone. It's not gone. It's still a very, very strong deck. And Glenny Boy from New Zealand, I believe, he was able to take down the Oceana Nats, and this is the list. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into it. So out the gates, you know it, we're playing Spirit of Fire, we're playing Fire Merlin. So we are going a Lorraine start, and we are not a hybrid deck. We are strictly playing one level 2 in Merlin Memory Thief and level 3 Merlin Kingslayer, which is our absolute endgame engine. If you're a new player checking in now, this is probably the strongest level 3 champ in the game, pound for pound. Every turn, you get a level counter during your recollection, and then every time you have an even amount of level counters, you draw an additional card, which is really, really powerful. You also get +2 to your attack that turn, so really, really strong. The swords we are playing in this deck, which I'm going to go into a little bit because one of them in particular, Bulwark Sword, is one that I love. I think that it is one of the best adds to Merlin, which is a little bit of a bummer because it is a Guardian Sword, but it is a level 0 sword that our friend Lorraine can bring out for free, and it also has 2 attack and it has 2 durability. Now, it does have a little bit of a drawback, which you have to pay 2 in order to attack with it. But I'll tell you what, when you Creative Shock on turn 1 and you have 7 cards, you draw up to 8, you bring your level 1 Lorraine out, you bring out your Bulwark Sword, and you have Flame Sweep in hand. We can level 1 Flame Sweep with Bulwark. Granted, I don't think this particular list runs Flame Sweep, but just so you guys are aware, if you're an ally player, or even if you're a Merlin player that wants to try Flame Sweeps in your deck without playing hybrid, Bulwark Sword is able to attack using that 2 damage plus the 1 from Flame Sweep and sweep for 3 on turn 2 as Lorraine, which is very, very good without having to commit to having Lorraine level 2 and Lorraine level 3. So we also obviously have Sword of Seeking. Stealth is becoming obviously more and more important. We see tons of fairies in all of these ally decks. Granted, they don't hurt you that much in this particular deck, but they can. They can be very annoying. We play things like Stalwart Shieldmates and Library Witches, and to have those Dream Fairied, or they can be pretty annoying. So just a very, very solid 0-drop sword. Gives you True Sight, has 2 durability. Arguably the best sword in the game. And then lastly, Drawn Blade, which is Merlin's bread and butter, right? This is the card that late game in any Merlin deck we abuse like crazy with Ghost of Pendragons. We keep bringing it back because we have Floating Memory that late game we don't really have anything to spend it on. We just keep bringing out Drawn Blade. So there's our swords. Pretty straightforward. We are not running like an Ascension Package, Prismatic Edge or anything like that. And then we've got our flex spots, which in this particular deck, we have chosen to go pretty defensive, which I definitely respect. Safeguard Amulet is an auto-include if you're from a heavy water ally meta. You're playing against a lot of water allies, really, really strong against Scepter. Also just very good against Eruptings, other Merlins, Rise, anything that's going to be doing non-attack damage, really, really strong. Terraforming, sometimes in Merlin, you just need one more turn to really stabilize. And Terraforming really can help you against swarmy decks, kind of stunt their attack, get you to survive another turn, and then hopefully take over from there. And then in Merlin, typically, most of our cards are mid at best. They're not great on their own, other than our Crux Package. And the whole idea behind Merlin is get to this late game where you're using your level 3 Merlin, drawing a bunch of extra cards, getting to all of your Crux cards, really abusing them, and getting tons of advantage over your opponent. And that's kind of what we're trying to do, right? So, with that in mind, Viridian Protective Trinket typically comes out because we get pretty low on resources every now and then. Sometimes we have to turbo to 3. And if we do, specifically against an ally deck, and we need that health, and we're playing against water allies, Viridian Protective Trinket, being able to bring this out, Dungeon Guide up, play a Ghost of Pendragon or something like that, and protect from being countered is really, really, really strong. So 3 really good flex cards. Honestly, those 3 do a great job. There's a few other that you could potentially try, but I love that choice from Glenny Boy. And then lastly, obviously, Grand Crusader's Ring, 5 out of 5. It's the best. And then our Majestic Spirit, which is one of our main win cons. The deer is still a very terrifying card. It can take games on its own. If it can't be answered, it just absolutely runs free. And that's what deer want to do, right? They want to run free. So that being said, I have a couple of things that I wanted to drop your guys' way before we move on to the main deck. And what that is a few announcements from us at True Champion Gaming. First off, Mercurial Heart pre-orders. They are live on our website. So go to truechampiongaming.com, go to the store, and get your pre-orders in now before we're sold out. It's a very exciting set, and I know people are really, really buying and are excited to open them. On top of that, we have been doing daily box tournaments Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of every week in our Discord in the evening. I want to say it's 8 p.m. It might be 9 p.m. 9 p.m., I believe. Yeah. So I just heard off camera from one of my co-hosts that 9 p.m. is when we start them. But anyway, you sign up the day of. It's right in our Discord. So join, $10, enter. The winner gets to take home a box of their choice, ALC or DOA Altar. And I think we are also offering one of each starter deck from ALC, which is a pretty cool thing if you haven't already got them. So really cool there. And lastly, if you guys like the cards that you're seeing here, if you want to buy cards, tcgplayer.com. If you're not using our website, you like TCG Player, totally get it. You can use our affiliate link and click there, and it gives us a kickback, helps us out a little bit, and all you have to do is click the button. And then on top of that, the sleeves that we use in all of our videos that you see us playing, as well as the sleeves that we use in tournament, are going to be Dragon Shield sleeves. So make your way over to dragonshield.com, and on checkout, use code TRUE5 for a special discount, and it'll give us a little kickback as well. So thank you guys so much for the support. Let's get back into the deck list. So we are going to jump right in. We're going to do the fire cards first. And out the gates, obviously, the fire engine, right? Most fire decks that are going level 3, that are really trying to get a lot of hand and card advantage, you're going to see Cremation Ritual and Creative Shock. In this list, we are playing 4 of each. Pretty straightforward there. I'm not going to take a ton of time on those. You guys know them. I'll do these ones next, actually. So the next we're going to do is a little bit of spot removal. We've got 2 Sparkalite, 2 Incinerate Fractals. So this is going to be your spot removal package. And we don't play Flame Sweeps, but we play something very exciting in this list. And that is 3 Purge in Flames, which is one of the OG sweeps, one of the only non-attack damage sweeps we have in the game. And it is, I'll talk about it right here for you. So we'll start with Purge in Flames. It has efficiency, which basically means that our level makes the cost of it go down by our level. So if we are level 2, instead of 8, it's a 6. As long as we have the mage. Actually, this does not have class bonus mage. Its class bonus is only, it deals an extra damage. So it deals 2 damage to all units except your champion. And then class bonus, it deals 3 to all those units instead. So we get our level up. This is an awesome little sweep that late game we're able to just play for free. It also burns your opponent for 3, which is really, really strong. But it deals with all of these pesky ally decks that are playing nothing but 2/3s, right? We talk about how some of the strongest cards from ALC were cards like Trained Sharpshooter that are just a generic 2/3 because of how strong that is for ally decks. So we're dealing with those ally decks. Purge in Flames is an awesome option. Super cool choice there by Glenny Boy. And then we just got a little bit of classics, right? We've got Incinerary Fractal. Now, when we're Lorraine, this does only do 2 damage, but when you team this up with a sword, it kills most things, specifically Bulwark Sword. Really, really good there. But with Sword of Seeking, you can kill most of those 2/3s. We're really, really good there. Also, it does make your influence go down, which helps us with Fast Cures, which we'll talk about a little bit. Also helps us pick the 2 cards we're going to get rid of with Dungeon Guide. Fractals are very, very powerful cards that have a lot of bonus uses to them, more than just the effects on the card. And then lastly, Sparkalite, fast speed removal, or ways to get around spell shields, a little bit more burn damage. Sparkalite is a very, very solid choice there. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about some of the finishers in this deck. So we're going to talk about Fireball and Devastating Blow. Basically, in this deck, Devastating Blow kind of plays its part as Fireball 5 and 6. Every now and then, you can use a Devastating Blow with your bonus attack and a Sword of Seeking to one-shot an opponent Merlin's Deer, right? It does 10 damage, boom. And they can't retaliate, so that's kind of nice. But I think most of the time, when we get to utilize this every other turn or on our off turns when we don't have the Merlin bonus, this is going to swing for 7. If we do have our bonus, we get that extra 2, and if we have a sword out on top of that, we're swinging for 10. So we have 4 fireballs, obviously the bread and butter of Merlin. How many times have you been double fireballed to lose a game? A lot. It just happens, right? It's a very, very strong combo that Merlin does because their level gets so high. So Devastating Blow has become kind of like that Fireball 5 and 6, and also a way to get around people playing Safeguard Amulets and things like that, right? This is a way that we can still get in Fireball level damage without having to cast a Fireball. So really, really powerful stuff. And then the last fire spell that I want to talk about is the coolest card in the deck, and that's going to be a 2 of Tether in Flames. So card is crazy cool. It's a cleric spell reaction. It's a counter spell. We don't get the class bonus, but it has negate target card activation unless its controller has Tether in Flames deal 1+ level unpreventable damage to their champion. So the unpreventable is something to really think about because this is damage that cannot be stopped by Safeguard Amulets, Veiling Breezes, anything like that. In Merlin, our levels get very high. So at some point in the game, this does become just a hard counter because they can't take the damage. So anything that they play, that level damage would be too detrimental for them to let that card resolve. So that's great. But I think the thing where this really shines is in the mid game. And in the mid game, where you can put the decision in your opponent's hands, hey, are you going to take 5, 6, 7 unpreventable damage to get that card onto the board? Or, and in Merlin, it's all a game of numbers, right? We're always looking, okay, can I kill them with Fireball? Can I kill them with Sword plus Fireball? Can I kill them with Ghost of Pendragon plus Sword plus Fireball? You're always looking for these kill combos as you move forward. And Tether in Flames softens up your opponent and lets you get to those kill numbers a little faster. Also, a fire deck that can actually utilize a negate card is terrifying. So really, really cool choice by Glenny Boy. I'd love to see more of that card get played in this format. So we'll see if it does. Really cool choice. We're going to jump into the last fire cards of the deck, which is just 7 allies. We play 3 Hasty Messengers here and 4 Flame Rune Swordsmen. So Hasty Messenger, she doesn't need much of an introduction. She is just a 1/2 for 2 that gets to swing and has an untacked trigger that puts Floating Memory in the yard for us. Helps us level up faster. Honestly, a lot of the times when you play this deck, you Hasty Messenger, attack, put a Floating Memory in the yard, and then Cremation Ritual it away and draw 2 new cards. That's really what she's there for. Kind of like Creative Shock Light, I guess. Not quite as good as Creative Shock, but it does a similar thing. And then Flame Rune Swordsman is mostly here for that class bonus Floating Memory, and it is a mage and warrior, so as soon as we're level 1, we have access to this through the rest. But it does every now and then have a little bit of a fighting situation that comes up. It does 2 damage. It can swing into a Stalwart Shieldmate or something and then allow you to swing through with a Devastating Blow. So things like that can happen, but mostly there for the Floating Memory. Then we'll go right into the norm, which is going to be a little bit more Floating Memory out the gates, which is 3 Honorable Vanguard. Really just here for that Floating Memory and non-class bonus Floating Memory. So turn 1 Creative Shocks. If you're going on the draw, you're going second. Hasty Messenger, discard a Honorable Vanguard, or everybody's favorite play as Merlin, Honorable Vanguard into Cremation Ritual. We get to draw 2 cards, put a floating, really strong. Dungeon Guide. She really does not need much of an introduction. Merlin is one of the decks that utilizes her the best. Getting to level 3 is very scary, and the faster a Merlin gets there, the sooner the game is going to end. So Dungeon Guide, one of the best cards in the game currently. And now, with the meta where it is, and we're seeing a lot more of these big attacks. We're seeing Tenoris decks that are utilizing his level 3 ability to make a bunch of swords and alpha strike someone, kill somebody quickly. And then more importantly, and I think way more common, since Limelight took down the SEA Nats, you've seen a lot more Fire Diana popping up. And with that, playing cards, obviously Stalwart Shieldmate was already a very good anti-aggro card that gets utilized in Merlin. Still has that Floating Memory without class bonus, so we can abuse that with Cremation Rituals, with Hasties, with Creative Shocks. It just fits perfectly. But we've also added in 3 Library Witches. You'd be surprised how good a 0/1 intercept can do if your opponent can't kill it with anything and has to swing a giant attack with their champion into a 1 health ally. It's very demoralizing for your opponent. You get to draw a card, and it keeps you alive a little longer. So these 7 cards, really, really strong. Great targets for cremation rituals against most decks. Against Diana's, really solid card to keep you safe. So the last of our norm cards, we have 2 Resolute Stand, 3 Fast Cure, and this is definitely one of the flex picks of the deck. We play 2 Scry the Skies. So Resolute Stand doesn't need much of a, talk. Helps us against allies, helps us stay alive when we need to. And we can cast it for free if we're level 2+ and just not draw a card next turn. Merlin can abuse that really well because we're already going to draw extra cards. So one of the really cool interactions that you might see come up more and more often, we just talked about Fire Diana a little bit, on your extra turn where you're going to draw an extra card and you know that those Creeping Torments are going to hit you because of that, sometimes you can just Resolute during their turn and then you won't draw for your turn, only draw for the Merlin effect and prevent yourself from beginning to hit a little bit. So cool little interaction there. Fast Cure, easy way to just gain 4 life against aggro decks. Pretty solid. And it's also floating memory that does not have a class bonus. And then we have Scry the Skies. I have been a huge proponent of using Scry the Skies in Fire Merlin. I played this in Auckland. I played 2 of as well. Very strong card. And honestly, when it gets to a certain point in the game, you play a Scry the Skies for 9. You don't have the answers that you need in your hand to end the game, but you can just keep staying alive because you're Merlin and you have a lot of awesome cards to deal with their allies and whatnot. Scry the Skies helps you dig for those finishers and help you end the game. Very good card. In early games, it replaces itself. So it does have that as well. And then lastly, we have the reason you play Merlin, the reason you play level 3 Lorraine, we have our Crux Package. So in this particular deck, 4 Ghost of Pendragon, probably the best ally in the game. It's a 3/4. I wanted to say a 2/3 for 2, but no, it's a 3/4 for 2, which is already insane. And then you return a Regalia when it enters and draw 2 cards. Probably one of the best cards in your deck, if not the best. We play 2 Cruxites. Cruxites let us bring Crux cards back from our discard pile, from our graveyard. Also, we can just use it to draw a card if we need to. Really powerful. If you use Incarnate Majesty, your opponent deals with it, we can just Cruxite our Incarnate Majesty back to our hand, play it again. Dealing with a Deer 1 time usually is pretty hard. Dealing with the Deer 2 times is incredibly hard. So Incarnate Majesty is how we get our Deer out. It's how we cheat it out. It has class bonus efficiency. You guys know how it works. That's how we get our bad boy out, our best ally. So cool little Crux package there. That is the main deck. Really cool choices. The Tether Inflames particularly is really exciting. And I love to see innovation in Merlin decks and see more and more new stuff. So awesome choices there. Then we're going to go into our sideboard, which is pretty straightforward. You guys already know Quicksilver Grail and Nullifying Lancer, never leave home without them. You need them in your 80. As long as Erupting is not banned in this game, you will always need to respect Graveyard. You heard it here first. So respect your graveyards, all right? Very good cards. We have Tithe Proclamation. Tithe Proclamation is incredibly strong in Merlin Mirrors. If you are the one that is controlling your opponent's ability to draw, such as you bring this out, they beat you to Merlin maybe, or something like that, makes it so they can't chain Ghost of Pendragons or something like that, then we are able to draw our cards, play a Ghost of Pendragon, put it back, and start our loop first. Really cool there. It helps against Rye, so they can't just run completely rampant, draw 100 cards in a turn and one-shot you. Really good against Luxemzander to kind of put in a weird off-tempo where they can't just Gleaming Cut like crazy. They can't abuse Scry the Skies. But mostly this is for Rye and Merlin, mostly the mage classes. We play 3 Exercise Curses. I've already been talking about Fire Diana. There's a lot of different variants. There's Water Diana. Things that you have to deal with because in Merlin, we are going to draw extra cards and we are going to kill ourselves with curses. So Exercise Curse, it's also just a floating memory at fast speed for 2. Really solid value there. And the last 2 cards in our sideboard are for that Luxem matchup, right? We have 2 Morgan Soul Guide. She has, the only thing you really care here, she is a Cleric Mage, so we do get the class bonus where at the beginning of our Recollection, you can glimpse 1, which is really cool with Merlin. So you know the card you're going to draw. You can get a bad card to the bottom, draw an extra card if you stack them correctly. And then if you don't, you recover 1. So a little bit of life field. But the main reason she's in here is for her level 2+, which is your opponents can't recover. This against Luxemzander allows you to just keep pressuring them, getting their life low. They cannot rely on things like Serene. They can't show a bunch of Luxem sites and gain 20 life over 2 turns. You know, this is just a great way against that Luxem matchup to help solidify your turn and let you kill them without having to completely one-shot them with fireballs in the very late game. So you're seeing a lot more Morgan pop up. She has been doing a great job fighting off the new menace, which is Luxem Xander. So with all of that, guys, that's all I've got for you today. An incredibly cool take on Fire Merlin. Big shout out and congratulations to Glenny Boy taking down this Nationals. I can't wait to see what more innovation we see over the next month leading up to Worlds. If you guys have ideas of some really cool deck lists, why don't you comment below and tell me about them? I'd love to hear it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and again, guys, thank you for all the support. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.